So, like, can we ignore the loss and the blown lead and the all of that and just talk about Lance McCullers? Oh, absolutely, that is what we're doing. Hi, I'm Weston. I love talking about the Astros, and I'm here to talk about Game 33 of the regular season where the Astros lose 5-4 to the White Sox after having a 4-0 lead in the game against the White Sox. Now, game gets called after 7 due to rain. That's unfortunate. The Astros had a 4-0 lead. I cannot stress this enough. And blew it. They coughed it up, and it's very, very, very disappointing on account that it follows a very big day for the Astros, specifically Lance McCullers, that have been building to for almost 3 years now. It's unfortunate. It really is. It's a game. It's a very winnable game. Obviously, you were up 4-0 with one of the better bullpens in baseball, and you blow it. Now, I saw some people upset that, it's interesting that they called it due to rain once it got to a White Sox lead. That is the biggest level of cope I have ever heard in my life. This is a thing that is totally on the Astros, but honestly, the outcome of the game is entirely secondary to the mainstay of the game, which was the Lance McCullers return. And that is all that I really care to talk about, because the game is trivial. It is a random game in May against a bad opponent. Is that game going to pop up when you get down to the dog days and the last month and the last week when you're worried about seeding, playoff spots, everything else? Yeah, one game is going to matter, but I just can't find it within me to care about this game because I think the returns you're going to get from McCullers are going to give you more than that one game back in dividends. How did Lance McCullers look after nearly 3 years of not pitching in Major League Baseball? I thought he looked fine. I thought he looked probably, I would say, good. It was a very Lance McCullers odd day. Threw a lot of pitches. I think he was over 40 by the second inning. He threw a lot of pitches. He got to the 87 pitch mark in the fourth inning. Now, obviously, McCullers has always been known to have a higher pitch count in games. He doesn't necessarily always eat too deep into it. 5-6 innings is pretty common for him. Occasionally, he'll find a seventh in him. But it's not a very... Has he ever pitched a complete game? Has he ever gotten to an eighth inning? That's just kind of not in his wheelhouse. You're going to get 5 to 6 innings of really good baseball that is high octane with McCullers, as it always is. This one was high octane. First inning, I think he had 2 men aboard, took him like 20 pitches, and he hit a batter. It was Lance McCullers baseball, and it's what we're accustomed to. Was it highly exaggerated on account that the adrenaline he must have been feeling was through the roof? Yeah, I think that definitely had a part of it. Was it kind of what I was expecting? Yeah. In the pregame, I was asked so lovingly by someone, what's his stat line? And I said he was probably going to go 4 innings, maybe give up, couple of walks. I said 2 walks, 2 runs, 5 strikeouts. What did he end up doing? Technically speaking, in terms of what it will show up on a score sheet, he finished the day with 3 2/3 innings, 4 strikeouts, and 3 walks with no runs given up. What did he actually do? 4 complete innings, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks. The final pitch of his day was a beautifully placed knuckle curve, if I'm not mistaken, that just... It did it. It got more than half of the ball in the zone, at least the zone that was shown on the broadcast and the one on Baseball Savant. It was a strike. You cannot look me in the eyes and tell me it was not a strike. It was a beautifully placed pitch. It was everything you could want out of him. They call it a ball. It loads the bases. You bring in Taylor Scott. He gets out of the inning cleanly. That's a really nice thing. It would have been devastating if it would have been this weird little dribbler that then sends 2 runs home, and it looks a lot worse. I thought he pitched really well. The splitter wasn't great. I wasn't loving it. It seemed that it could kind of be pulled on occasion. The movement wasn't really knock you out. Not that it ever really was for McCullers. It was just kind of a pitch. Now, the knuckle curve, when he was confident in it, was beautiful. It was making hitters look stupid. The slider was eh. However, then you get to the changeup. I thought that was the best pitch of his day. The changeup looked phenomenal. It was as nasty and gross as I had ever remembered it. The knuckle curve was working really well in conjunction with it. It's going to take him probably 3 or 4, maybe even 5 starts to really get confident again in everything and really amp up the velo. If he can get the splitter back up to around 93 instead of 91. if he can start to place said splitter a little bit better, and so it works even better in conjunction with the knuckle curve and his changeup, he's going to be back to being what Lance McCullers was. It was a stressful outing. However, the things that I wanted to see worked. He was able to work about 87. I thought he was going to go 50 pitches. The fact that they sent him out there for 87 was actually insane. I was flabbergasted he went that deep. He didn't give up runs. He was able to, for the most part, keep poise, and when he had to find a pitch, he found it. The last pitch of the game, he found his pitch. He just did not get rewarded for it, and that is very, very disappointing. The stuff looked good. The stuff looked nasty. You could tell from his body language how much he was fidgeting with every part of his uniform. Every button, the buckle, the hat, everything. Every little tie on his glove probably got fiddled with through that start. And he was nervous, and there's nothing wrong with that. There had been so much that had built to this moment for him finally to return. I am so glad that he got to pitch a good game of baseball through his return. The last pitch did not go his way, and it was really disappointing to see. But overall, I was very happy with the return of McCullers, and I think it bodes very, very well for the Astros going throughout the rest of the season. When they have him, it's not just because he's a really good pitcher. It's because he's a really good pitcher, and he adds more depth to the pitching staff. It is monumentally important for them to have him back, and he looked good. I am very excited to see how he goes again in his next outing. But until then, that is it for Lance. That is it for the game. I really have no other comments. Cool for Zach DeZenzo. Jake Myers, I think, has just simply figured out baseball. That really is the extent of my thoughts for it. The Astros are about to start another game here in a little bit, and I will be here afterwards later tonight to talk about it. But as for right now, that is all I have to say. So if you enjoyed the video, please consider to like and subscribe. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day, and as always, go Stros.